don't you ever see a biscuit? And then you're like, well, just eat the biscuit. And I was like, the biscuit doesn't fucking exist. The biscuit is like, there is no biscuit. It's like, fuck biscuit. I don't even, like, it's not even in my zone. I'm here in my zone. There's no biscuits in my zone. Fuck. For years, I'm not fucking nervous. It's not the first time I saw.
How are you, bud?
Yeah, great. So running a little late. We've just been doing a photo shoot with some guy at the gym, so
Nice.
we rushed back just to get in time.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, to be fair, usually I'm late, so.
But I didn't want to be the one, so it's all good.
The one time I'm on time.
There we go. We'll take it. We'll take it.
That's all right. You're the guest. You're allowed to be late. Me, on the other hand, I should be on time.
Exactly that. There's nothing better than Dan McNabb keeping Lee Priest waiting for 20 minutes.
You said the wrong time. I'm not having
I got one better than that. I arranged a podcast with Lee. It was about 3-4 weeks ago, and the fucking time difference, isn't it? We arranged Wednesday, so we was ready Wednesday. Lee was ready fucking Tuesday because he's a day ahead of us. He's like, I fucking got up early. I rushed it, went to the gym, rushed home, and I was waiting for you fuckwits, and you didn't even come online.
Yeah, we got him.
So bad.
We got him back on next weekend, and we have to do 9 p.m. for him to do like 6 a.m. I think it is.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, so it's worth it though.
Oh my god, he's
we'll
out
have to not edit this one as much.
Yeah. The last one required a lot of editing. You probably know the score.
Well, he's hilarious, isn't he? But you know, fucking filter. And once he starts, he just gets worse and worse.
You can see he's smiling to himself as it gets worse. Like he's like enjoying it. So
fucking snowball.
I've witnessed some of the shit he does. It's just no.
Yeah. Some of the stuff he was saying, it was like, we're gonna get banned off YouTube for that. So let's take that out.
Yeah, he loves it. I'm sure he does it for a reaction after the time.
Yeah. When it took me a couple of days to post it up, and he said to me, "Are you cutting out all the best bits?" I was like, "By best bits, you mean politically correct stuff?" Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But
what is like people go around looking to be offended? No, Lee, what you said was just highly offensive.
It was, yeah. Even I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
He was calling Big Rami's crew the camel fuckers.
Yeah.
I don't know how he gets banned all the time and why he's banned from Federation, banned off everything. I just don't understand it.
I know exactly.
I can only imagine the email correspondence between him and the IFBB where he just didn't show up to the Olympia.
Yeah.
I'd love to see those. Maybe we could ask for them.
Did you hear the phone call that it was when Lee was doing the tour and he was in the car with Lambo and they phoned up Bill Turney? Oh my god. Lee snatched the phone and he was just he was going in, your wife's a fucking prostitute and blah blah blah. And they posted that online. It's horrific. Pretty much true, but like some things don't need to be said.
I love it. Oh fuck me. Right, let me get an intro done then before we get too deep into this, because then I'll have to edit it otherwise. So welcome back to Bash Bros Podcast, episode 76. We have one of our most favorite guests on. He's been requested by many people on our podcast to come on. Dean Lesiak, he was one of the OGs when I was coming in to get into bodybuilding, winning everything he touched at the time, apart from one particular card that never seemed to come his way, but we'll get into that, I guess. I do normally share people's page and stuff, so I assume your main page would be, is it your Legion one?
Yeah, first of all, what do you mean the old timers? I'm not that fucking old, am I?
Well, for guys like me and Dan, we're probably last of the OGs. We're not like the millennials these days. What I'm getting at is essentially the hardcore bodybuilding fans will know exactly who you are. But unfortunately, there will be an element of people who follow us and follow our podcast that won't know who you are, Dean, which is sad.
Pretty much all of them, yeah, I'd imagine, and that's a good thing.
But this is what I think is weird about the thing. The social media is it's the thing. Like, people aren't looking back at like what made the scene. Like, I remember, like, when I first started out, you were the guy winning. I'm sorry, Dean, I'm a bit of a fan. I won't gay you out too much, but you're in the magazines. You're always at the UKBFF scratching that fucking card. Like I said, I'm sure we'll slag some people off on the way in for that. But like, some of the people aren't looking back. There was one pro card, they don't get it. Like, they're sweet. In comparison, they're sweet. They're not easy, but if you were a UK resident, you know, there was no, you're close, there was no going somewhere else. You waited another fucking year.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I see the pros and cons for that. It was shit that there's only one card a year, and there was many amazing athletes that just missed out on that pro card. But on the other hand, it kept British bodybuilders at such a high level that when we did go to compete abroad, we got people like Flex Lewis. You mean now Nathan Diashers, we had Luke Sando, we had some amazing bodybuilders that had to be at that standard just to get a pro card in our country before they even go into the pro ranks. So there was a lot of good about it, but one card a year is a bit fucking harsh, isn't it?
If we're going into this now, we'll go balls deep in then. So my argument, Dean, is that had you had the support and the encouragement of if you'd won the pro card, the encouragement and support you'd have had from there on in, the progression you'd have made is far more than you do if you stay amateur. So whilst there is the argument of keeping the standard high, I think some of the guys who are turning pro, their best progress is then made from there on in. So it's just bonkers to think how you would have looked had it been a similar sort of trend for you.
I kind of see it as a blessing in disguise because not blowing smoke up my own ass, but I think I could have been a good 212. I've competed against a lot of the guys that some made it to the Olympia stage, very high level, and I wasn't so far behind them at that point, and obviously they progressed. So, but my limit kind of is 212 for my frame, my genetics. I can be healthy-ish and be an amazing 212. If I won the pro card and maybe wanted to push for more, because let's be honest, when you win something, it's never enough, is it? You want to go to the next stage and get in with the big boys. If I would have started pushing up the ranks and wanting to go with the big boys, I can't stand with them. For me to try and push my weight up to like 240, 250 on stage, I would have to be eating massive amounts of food, pushing the drugs a little higher, which is going to, in time, have a massive negative effect on my health, let alone my look. I got quite a tidy waist for the amount of muscle that I have. I believe if I was force feeding and overheating over a long period of time, that would get blown out.
Yeah.
I always give a great example as somebody like Flex Wheeler, absolute genetic freak, beautiful physique, tiny waist. And what was he on stage at? Around, 250, something like that? I'm not even sure. But, you know, he's a big fucking guy to have such tremendous lines. Do you think he ate much food? Do you think he touched much gear? Not at all. He didn't need to. He was able to grow that much muscle and say be 250 on stage with eating, I don't know, 3,000-4,000 calories maybe on a minimum gear. For say me and my genetics, I could get to his same weight, but to do that, I'd be eating twice as much food, pushing the gear up to force that amount of food and absorb that amount. So by the time I got to that, I would have pushed my midsection out. I stand next to him with the same amount of muscle in the same condition. He's got this beautiful X shape, and I would just have this big bloated fucking mess of a gut on stage. You can't stand next to somebody like that. So I believe you need to see your genetics and what you're capable of, and go from there. Too many pros now who don't have the blessed with those amazing genetics are pushing too much food, too much gear, and they're getting as big. Some of them are fucking monstrous, but the shape's out the window.
Yeah. What was your heaviest weight on stage then?
When I did the British and the UKBFF, I was always light heavy. And it's stupid thinking back, but I was always scared to push into the heavyweights, and I was a heavyweight that always came down. It was a struggle towards the end to make the 90 kilo class. I had to come in, but it forced the condition. I had to be so fucking dry and hard to just make the weight without trying to lose any muscle at all.
And you fucking were.
Well,
Every time.
I had to. I mean, I can remember probably the last 4 years or something of competing at a 90 kilo. I was weighing in at 89.9, 89.2. You know, it was point off the mark. So it was a fraction under 90 kilo, but I always managed to just make the weight. And even if I wasn't, like 1 year I thought, fuck it, whatever I weigh in the morning, I'm not even going to look at the scales. And I got there and I was like 89.10, something like that. Bang on the scales. I was like, how is this even possible? I just sucked in and dried out overnight. But then when I did the one, the pro-am, basically, the pro show with the PCA, towards the end, you weighed in the day before the show, and I weighed in, it was 212 class. I was 211.5, I think. So bang on 212. Condition was all bang on. I would have looked amazing, but I completely fucked it up the last day. I didn't eat any food for about 24 hours. I take the whole responsibility and blame, and I did not look my best on the day, but it was still awesome. Fucking great show. So I know I would have been round 212 in a solid condition. You can always make your weight and you can always come in lighter, but do you look better or worse for it?
Yeah, it's just it's how far you push, because you can't fill it back out then, can you? Do you know what I mean? There's a fine line between being able to get down there, but then how do you make it look on the day then? So yeah, in terms of your UKBFF days, give us a run through then, because obviously for anyone watching this who don't know you, give us like a whistle-stop tour of your competitive history, and how many times you were a bridesmaid, etc.
And for the others watching that don't know, imagine like it's two bros and you do the regional and then there's only one pro qual. There's one. Yeah. So we're talking about the British, the UKBFF British, that's the one opportunity. For those that are watching that don't know how it worked back then, that's what Dean's going to be talking about, the one time. And you hit it a lot of times.
There was kind of only two federations then, weren't there? There was NABA and there was UKBFF, which was the only way you could get an IFBB pro card. So basically you'd get a lot of big guys in the NABA, but the ones that never really had the classic shapes, the right, they had a lot of bloated bellies or misshaped legs because they didn't have what it takes to become an IFBB pro. So all the most potential would do the UKBFF. It was the only way. So it's trying to put it into terms so people can understand. If you got all the federations now and put them together and the best of each federation went together, that would be the British Championships, best of the best. So you had to win your qualifier just to get an invite to the British, and then it's only the winners of all of the shows that go to the finals, obviously. Then you had to make the top 10 to make the evening show or the day after. So it was really the best of the best of the best in Britain. So there wasn't split into all these different feds. So I'm standing next to people like Flex Lewis, James Hollishead. I would compete against Nathan Diasha. You name any top pro, I stood next to him, and the big monsters as well. So it was tough, and they only give out one card. So I started basically as a junior. I was a runner to start with, really skinny. Then I got into martial arts, which I loved, and I was fighting whether I want to get into bodybuilding or stick with martial arts, because bigger I got, the less fitness I had for fighting, the more fitness I did to be fight ready. I just couldn't hold that muscle. So they really, really counteracted each other. So I had to choose if I could be okay at both or be good at one. And I chose bodybuilding in the end, which is probably the stupidest thing I ever did in my life. But that's history. So I was 19 and I decided, gym I trained at, the guy who owned it, he was an ex-judge for the UKBFF and a photographer, did a lot of work for Flex magazine. And he kept pestering me, saying, you've got great potential. You should consider bodybuilding. And I was like, what? That sport, you stand in little fucking pants, shaving yourself, oiled up. I was like, that's not for me. And he kept going on about it and on about it. I was a bit lost in life. I didn't know where to go. And eventually he talked me into it. And I thought, well, if this guy's a judge, he obviously knows what he's talking about and he sees some potential. I'll listen to what he says and give it a go. So he kind of took me under his wing and taught me the basics. I started training properly, eating 6 meals a day. My body responded pretty good. And then he says, like, look, I'm going to be straight up with you. If you're going to do this federation and have any chance of making to proper pro card or anything, you're going to need to take a little bit of gear. Are you okay with that? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I was very lucky that he kind of taught me properly, the safe way, always having breaks, time off, minimum dosages, and put me on a good track. So I took my first little course, and I remember what it was. It was one shot of Deca a week, the yellow top Deca, 200 milligram. And you remember P5s?
P5s.
Little tiny tablets. They don't make them anymore. They're kind of like the equivalent of Primo or something, very mild. I took, I think, 5 of them a day, 1 shot of Deca a week, and I put about 2 stone on. And that was, obviously the gear helped, but that was from going to eating a bit of shit to eating 6 regular meals a day, training properly, and that course of gear. So I put some good weight on. Then I started dieting, come down with another small course into my first show when I was just turned 20 years old. I did the Mansfield Classic, which I won as a junior. Back then, it was under 21s. Like, I don't really agree with the under 24s these days. The body goes through a big difference from teens to 24 fucking years old. They're grown-ass men. It's not fair. They should either have a teens or have a juniors up to 24. Split that. But anyway, back then, it was under 21s. I won that, which gave me an invite to the British Championships. And then I went on to win the British as a junior. And yeah, I mean, that was amazing. But I think winning my first 2 shows kind of, sometimes it's not the best thing. I got a little bit laid back with my training. I didn't really enjoy competing so much, so I stopped bodybuilding then. Got back into martial arts, did a bit of, I did mainly Thai boxing, but then I got a bit into jiu-jitsu, MMA. And as I'm working on building sites in bad crowds, I was drinking a lot. And I got to a time, I turned about 23, 24. So I need to sort my fucking life out. What gave me structure? Bodybuilding. Let's get back to bodybuilding because it stopped me mixing in crowds and going out, partying and all this shit. You got to be so strict and regimental. And that was my excuse to get away from it. So 24 years old, I think I competed again. I got back into it and I went into the light heavies. I was the bottom end of the class and it fucking kicked me up the ass so hard and opened my eyes. I mean, I did okay, but I didn't even make the top 10. Some of the guys there, they've been training obviously 10, 20 years plus, and they just blew me away. So I was like, shit, after winning my first show and just winning the British, maybe I needed it to humble me a little and see where I was at in the open class, because it's a whole new category. So then I got to work, made tremendous gains again. And I can't even remember where I came in the second year, but I pushed right up the ranks. And then again, I competed for 14 years 10 years in a row, a couple of years off, those 4 years off. Sorry, I competed once, 4 years off, and then 10 years in a row. So each year I got a better place until I won the British. And then I won it a second time, a third time. Back then, they had rules. If you win the British 3 times, then they give you a pro card. to their discretion. There's always a get-out clause. So I won 3 times, and I applied, and there was Bill trying to give me some bullshit excuse, or I got to send it to the committee, and like, he was the main guy who makes all the decisions. And then basically they also brought in a point scheme. If you win 100 points, you get a pro card. So I was like, okay, I've got about 1,000 points. Does that qualify me for a pro card? No, you can't backdate them. It starts from now. So I think that's when I won the third British, and I got 100 points. And I said, okay, so I've got 100 points. Oh no, we scrapped that system now. I was like, well, make up your fucking mind. And then a couple of years, they decided to give every class winner a pro card. And then I won, and then they scrapped that. So and after I won 3 times, I got better the following year, and my placings went down to about 5th or 4th. And I was a clear, if you could have been harsh, I would have been 2nd place. But like, a lot, it's debatable. A lot of people said I won, and they give me 5th. And then the next year I came 4th, and I was way better. There's a lot of politics and bullshit involved, as you know. And then I was chatting to one of the judges, and he just said, look, Dean, you're never going to get a pro card. You know what Bill's like. He's not going to allow it. And I'm like, well, why? What have I done? And he's like, well, you are friends with people like Lee Priest and Lambo and Simon Fan. So why you associate yourselves with those people? He ain't never given you a pro card. This was one of the judges telling me this. And I was like, come on, he's not that petty because of who I associate myself with. So that year, I competed, I won again. So now I've won 4 British titles, even though probably 2 or 3 of those others I should have won when I didn't. Let's just stick to the facts. I won 4 of them, which they actually give me. So after 4 times, I said, can I apply for the card? There's like, no, another bullshit excuse. And I was going to go for the British again. And then after hearing all this, I'm never going to get it. I'm putting my life, my soul, every penny I've got into competing every single year. And if you're told you can never progress and get a pro card, why am I doing that? Because when you put that much into competing and dieting, your business is out the window. Relationships you can forget. Your whole life is fucked, basically, because your every ounce of energy is into competing and being the best you possibly can. So I thought, well, fuck this. I'm not doing this, but I kind of don't believe what I'm being told here. They can't be that petty. So I put it to the test. Lee was over doing the tour. We all went out. We had some food. I think there was me, Lambo, Lee Priest, Simon Fan, Randy Pelote. We all had food, and I asked the waiter, can you take a picture of us? So I posted this picture on social media, and I just bigged everybody up. And I was like, how amazing Simon Fan is, how much he's put into bodybuilding. Randy, my training partner, such a fucking awesome, lovely guy. I put even Lambo in his big fucking mouth for being a good, loyal friend. And I said, he's such greatness when one of your childhood heroes, like Lee Priest, you actually meet him and he's better than you could ever imagine. You become good friends. And I posted that. It wasn't even 24 hours later, I got a text from Bill via somebody else's phone to me, so I couldn't trace it to him, but basically saying, how dare you associate yourself with people like Lee on social media, blah, blah, blah. Basically telling me to take it off social media, and if I do that, then basically threatening me that I'm never going to get a fucking pro card. So I just wrote back and said, look, I've been loyal to your federation for 14 years, and I'll always be loyal to your federation. I've won the pro card how many times you've denied it me, but I'll still compete and be loyal to your federation until the day you tell me who the fuck I can and can't be friends with. And I left it there, and then I walked away, and that was me done with competing. Because I just felt, why put so much into it? I've got 2 choices here. I always see it as, if you're going to play a game, you need to go by their rules. If you don't like their rules, don't play their game. And no matter how shitty their fucking rules are, I'm not prepared to play their game. So I walked away from it. I had two choices. I could either bow down to them and basically move away from my friends and lick their ass to try and get a pro card, which I probably would have got, or I could have told him to go fuck yourself like he did, because I'm loyal to my friends, and my friends are far more important than a shitty little fucking card. And I see it as a blessing in disguise, like I said, because if I did turn pro, I probably would have pushed and pushed and pushed, and maybe my health wouldn't be as good as it is these days. So I'm more than happy with everything that happened.
Yeah. That was a hell of a story. Fair play. I was getting into that.
You have to get Lee on again and ask him about it. It's all Lee's fault.
We'll tell him he's back on next week.
Yeah. Saved my life.
No, fair play. It's quite difficult to listen to, though, when you think about it, really. When you put so much into it, for it to be just completely and utterly fucking disregarded based on the political aspects of it. Obviously, I'm friendly with Mike and Lisa Gelsey, and I know some of the stuff that went on when they left the Fed. Certain scorecards being changed and people being banned and et cetera. So I know obviously it happens, but I didn't know it happened to that sort of extent as you just mentioned there.
I'm very open about it, and when it was, lots of people came forward to me and told me their stories, even with similar stories and some fucking crazy shit that used to go on. And from that whole experience, where basically they hate Lee for some reason. I know he's a lifetime band member, but how many years ago was that? To the point where Bill Turney was ringing up every single gym in the UK that Lee was visiting and telling the gym and the members in the gym, if you associate with Lee, you're banned from the federation. You can't fucking do that. I mean, ask Lee about it when he's on.
I mean, but, they were like that. I mean, there's a plus of like just having the one pro card. They were God. They were fucking in the bodybuilding world. They were God, and it got them all fucked up. It got them all fucked up. Like you forgot that we're actually just like you said, that thing where you just stand in pants. Like, do you know what I mean?
Crazy,
you're fucking with people's lives. Like,
yeah.
People are doting to that, and I think another good point you brought up was, because we still get it now where people are like, oh, I don't like my placing and stuff like that. You played their game, and you noticed that you knew that you were playing their game and they were playing the game, and you still carried on because it was the only way to do it, and accepting it. And then you had your limit of where the game.
Yeah, that was I couldn't win. I couldn't win at the game unless I abide to their rules, and I didn't want to play their rules. I'm not gonna.
Well, what other game do they change the rules, right?
Yeah,
you don't play a football match and they'll be like, that's a goal. And it's like, well, we've changed the posts. I mean, obviously there's a saying about that, but there's if you can't play the game if the rules are forever in their favor. That's another thing
I was never going to win. The problem is I couldn't win because I'm loyal to my friends, which I'm not going to change. And if Tongue doesn't like the taste of ass, so I'm not going to bow down and lick their fucking ass for whatever. I'm too stubborn, and I'd rather shoot myself in the own foot to do that. Yeah. Whereas many will, and I've heard of all kinds of shit where not just the women, but the guys, women fucking sucking off judges and bullshit to get fucking pro cards and paying money and payouts and all kinds of corrupt fucking bullshit that goes on. I'm sure you guys have heard probably more stories than me.
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't at a level to like win whilst UKBFF like was doing what it was doing. I might have done all right like recently, but I remember it just
how old are you now? Just so I can,
I'm 38 now.
38. So you're not far behind me. I'm 41
No,
now.
but you started winning stuff when I started picking up weights in my bedroom. I started really, really late. But yeah, I do understand that it's very close to the end for me. My way of tracking is just like, do I still get better? Again, without doing anything fucking stupid. And then the day I turn up at a show and the same as last time, then I'll pack it in.
That was it with me as well. Like I had to be better every single year, and I wasn't necessarily bigger, but my whole physique always looked better and more complete. My weaknesses come up a little more, bit harder condition. It has to be that way. I have to be progressing. If I go backwards, it's time to quit.
Yeah, you see the guys in the gym, don't they? Like, and they're still shooting the gear in their shows, and they're diminishing, and you want to kind of go like, oh,
yeah,
because you're only as good as your last show, right? So,
and you get marked down for that as well. You could say you came in great shape, and then the next year you still look good, but you're not quite as good, but you're the best on the day. You still get marked down for it, and probably
you get punished
because you're not as good.
You do get punished.
Yeah, it's bullshit, isn't it? You should be
they expect to see you a certain way, and then I've seen that happen as well. I just found when the UKBFF, like competing with them was just, it wasn't very nice. I mean, like I said, I wasn't even anywhere near. I wasn't making top 6 at that point, and I just thought it was just not a very nice experience. And to be fair, Two Bros gets a lot of stick, but I've actually had quite a nice time. Like competing at Two Bros, I found it like the Arnold's was like a thoroughly enjoyable experience. So people don't really know how good they've got it, and they're still like whinging. I mean, obviously everyone loves to whinge and stuff like that, but when UKBFF fell, even I was like, yeah, you deserve that.
This time, I mean, again, I blame Lee, because that whole time when Lee done the tour and all that shit that happened and I walked was when some of the judges walked as well. And that's when Simon had enough. He was like, fuck this. And he got together with Warren from Porium. And then they said, fuck it, let's make our own Fed. And that's when PCA was born, basically. And then they started that whole federation, and that started booming and took a lot of people because they put in prize money in, and it was great for amateur athletes to get a little back. I mean, I was doing shows. I'd done the Arnold in the US. I come 9th in the world. I did the Arnold in Madrid, and people saying, "Fucking hell, you done this show." I'm stood next to some of the best in the world, people on the Olympia stage. They're like, you must have earned some good money. I said, what? Yeah. It cost me £2,000 to £3,000 every time I did a fucking show. I didn't earn a penny from it. So at least like the PCA and that, they was chucking in some money, at least get all your prep money back or a little bonus. And some guys smashed it, like Sean Tavernier. He went to PCA. He did like a year solid of competing. Peter Molar.
Yeah.
He done about fucking 200 grand in 1 year. It was about 100 grand from the China show or something. I mean, that's a good, nice little living there. I mean, he killed himself for a year, but that was a good chunk of money for him to put into his gym, into his businesses. And it's worth doing it for that.
Yep.
Then he's, I mean, my experience in federations, I was always with the UKBFF. You go backstage, it's a shitty little hall. Everything, you can't use Dreamtown, it's all banned. Everything's fucking banned. There's not one mirror.
They come around sniffing deep heat. What is this?
Yes.
I remember 2013, right? I jumped on the super heavyweights, like the finals, right? And don't get me wrong, I was nowhere near the top 6, but there was like 30 of us, and my entire quarter turns, I was stood behind a speaker. Literally, they couldn't even see the judges, so never mind them seeing me. It's like I prepped all that time just to stand behind the speaker at the end of the lineup.
It's some of the lighting as well. Like, you take one step to the side, you're in complete darkness. You're like, shit, isn't it?
I did. PCA like has been a great addition to the UK scene. I think we talked about it a little bit as well, and it is such a shame to watch NABBA just not move with the times at all on any socials or anything like that, and just get drilled. What was a great federation that had some great names on the billboards, over the years, is from what I mean, Johnny, you did the British. Yeah. You did the British. How many was in Supers?
Well, there was only
not Supers. Sorry, the Tool.
4 of us.
Yeah, I mean, there was 40 like not that long ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, 2017 when I did it, there was something like 25 of us, 26 of us in the class one. I think the year after is when you won the overall, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a lot of people. They had to do like rounds of like loads, and you know it is a good federation. It's a good way to you know, like you said, to make it up and start, and then kind of, you know, complete that, do the uni or whatever, and then move on to try and think about a pro card or whatever. You know, to watch it die was sad. I mean,
very, very much. I mean,
but then PCA did everything that NABBA didn't, you know, and it's not like no one was. People were warning them, like, you do have to, like, move. It is about socials now. It is about marketing. Loads of people don't even know what it fucking is.
It's a shame because, like, go back to backstage at UKBFF, we didn't have one mirror. There's not even a fucking dumbbell to try and pump up. How can you even look your best? They don't give a fuck about the athletes. It's all about turning them in, making the money. And like you see, it went to their head. And when it all split, NABBA, I never competed for NABBA, but especially on like the international levels, they had some fucking monsters in NABBA, some big guys, and they got in crazy condition. It was awesome. To me, NABBA was more focused on bodybuilding, especially when the bikini, the fitness categories all came along. NABBA stayed away. So that captured a lot of the hardcore bodybuilders. And then, like you say, the PCA was born. After I finished competing, I had a year or two off, and Ryan from PCA kept on at me, come do this fucking pro show. Come on, come PCA, come and do it. So I'm done with competing. Come on, it'd be wicked. There's prize money, there's this and that. Tony Freeman will be there. I was like, you want me to stand next to fucking Tony Freeman? It's like, yeah, come on, man, there's prize money. And you go on and on. I thought, fuck it, let's give it a go. So I went and did this PCA show, and like I say, I fucked it up, and I did not look my best. I made it. So there's probably 30 in the class, and then just the top 10 go through, and then the top 5. I made the top 10. I didn't make the top 5, so I didn't get placed anywhere between 10 and 6. So let's say I was 6th. Yes, that's a good number.
Yeah, that's good.
I would have made the top 5 if I'd have nailed it. But whatever, even though it was, I fucked up, it was the most, I hated competing. The PCA was the most enjoyable show I ever did. It was the first time out of all of my career I felt like an athlete. They gave me a full tracksuit the day before. We did a press conference with microphones, questions, answers. They paraded us around the whole fucking expo at Body Power, holding big Union Jacks and walking around. It was unbelievable. I felt like fucking a star at the Olympia. It was incredible. And I thought that they're smashing it. They've got this just right. They had like a gym backstage and benches, dumbbells everyone can use. It was unreal. I've never seen this. So to me, this was like fucking awesome. But I just didn't want to compete anymore. And I did that show, moved away from it. But that's where it needs to be. It needs to be pushing and moving forward with the times, as you say, cater for all of this.
There's no temptation for you
for me
to compete again.
I'll get back on stage, maybe just hand out a trophy, sweep up. But to actually compete, fuck that. I'm done. I'm so health driven now. I love training. And there's still a massive drive and desire in me to have I have this standard where I have to stay around 100 kilo lean of muscle to still be able to do 300 kilo lifts, but still be able to kick somebody in the head if I need to, be able to run a 10-minute mile. I have these standards that keeps me training hard and push towards. But do I want to be any bigger? Do I want to diet to the extreme? Not a chance. It's too much strain on your body. Like I am 41 now, and I'm so health conscious. I'm doing everything I possibly can to try and still look half good, but I want to live forever. Longevity. Yeah. I don't want to be 80 and not be able to walk up Snowdon or something.
I'd just be happy to make it to 80.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of how it is these days, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
people just think, oh, I'm getting old now. That's normal, but it's not. If you really look into health and longevity, there's so much you can do. Just your body's way capable of living 120 years old. I believe that's easily possible if you do everything right.
So your plan is to live to 120 years old.
Well,
I'd love to say we'll get you back on the podcast.
But we'll both be dead.
We'll all be living in some sort of like spores. We'll have to do
it
telepathic.
Download our consciousness into a computer or something.
Yeah, that's the only chance I have of surviving that long.
Don't say never. Never say never. Have you ever heard of Dr. David Sinclair?
The name rings a bell.
He's the lead guy in the world at the minute with like longevity, and it was all about anti-aging. But he's way past anti-aging now. He's actually doing reverse aging. And he's done this in labs where he's had mice. They've got he can make them go forward and backwards in age. This mouse was the equivalent of an 80-year-old person. It'd gone blind. He messed about with it, give him his magic. The mouse, all its cells, it's kind of like resetting the cells back to a 20-year-old. So this mice went from like 80 to 20 years old and regained its eyesight. It cured fucking blindness. And he believes he can do this in humans, and in time he's working on making a pill to be able to do this. So you just got to live long enough to do these pills come out.
Yeah.
So surely from that, cellular regeneration is a cancer cure, right?
Exactly. He believes just
so he's
about
he's gonna be in a hunting accident soon, surely.
Yeah. Pharmaceutical companies are not going to allow that. I'm not going to allow that to happen, are they?
If he promotes it as that, yeah. But he believes that pretty much all diseases come from age and aging. So if you can stop the aging or reverse the aging, you'll stop the disease, which makes a lot of sense when you look into biology on a cellular level.
It's like Benjamin Button shit.
Yeah.
I mean, don't fuck it up, because that was weird film. I'm not up for that as my life. Weird.
Yeah, I mean,
how was his head still big? There's so many questions about that.
Yeah, but like, also what I don't understand is that it's a great sort of concept, but if you think about it, the world is already overpopulated. If people stop dying, we're fucked.
So then we need to team up Sinclair with Elon Musk, innit? If we can fucking hurry up and colonize Mars, you can just shift off from there. We're not overpopulated. There's a fucking huge universe out there. We just need to get out a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll start with the men's physique boys.
Yeah, we'll ship them. They can test it out.
Yeah, make a space station just for them. Fuck them off. Let them float around.
At least they won't need any leg kit.
Save a lot of space. And also the less gravity, with more PRs.
Imagine what you could lift on the moon or something.
Yeah, sick. That's what I'm in for.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what Hollingshead is doing right now.
Pushing the earth down.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got an anti-gravity room? Like
he must do.
Or something?
He must do.
I've seen him squatting some ridiculous shit that's not humanly possible.
I mean, it was nuts. I remember seeing your squat videos, a particular one where you'd like wrapped a knee wrap around your thigh. I wasn't quite sure why, but I saw Tom Platz do it, so I was like, maybe that's why. I don't know. And then you were doing 220. I'm pretty sure you headbutted the bar, and then you did like 22 reps or something.
20. The band is because I tore the outside of my quad a few times, and basically wrapping that band was just holding it together, trying not to let it snap again. It was so tight and it kept fucking snapping. So I got that a lot. What's the band man you hit for? It's fucking holding me together, basically. it was 5 plates aside. We all, if you look at athletes and you see powerlifters and that, they have this little crazy routine that they psych themselves up just before a lift. And my retarded fucking version of that was I kept fucking headbutting the bar. That smack on the bar, it really wakes you up. And sometimes I did it, split my head open. I'm pissing fucking blood at the mirror halfway through the set. It's so stupid. Don't ever anybody. I
I
don't
remember. I
really.
think I saw a deadlift video of you doing the same, which was quite good. You got quite low.
Blood out,
I
yeah.
was impressed with the flexibility of managing that. I don't know whether you shocked yourself at how good you were at that.
God.
But the deadlift came up, so fuck it.
I
And
saw that
bloodletting's a thing now, so two birds.
I went a bit dizzy at the top because I lost that much blood out of my head. My blood pressure went low.
You'd have gone viral on fucking social media these days. Apparently, like crying in a leg set and stuff, and all that. That's like the vibe.
Oh, it annoys me now. Like, see that particular lift. I don't know what was worse because I squatted 4 plates for 30 reps. No, I think I nearly died. I was seeing stars on the last few. When I did 5 plates for 20 reps, that was probably my best achievement. And I was talking to Lee Priest and was talking about training. And I was like, yeah, I was so fucking chuffed. I did 5 plates for 20 reps. He's like, oh yeah, me and Tom Platts used to do that all the time. It's like his fucking warm up. I was like, you prick.
Oh no, let's not make any bones about it. 20 reps to 220 is a fucking is a ballsy fucking set that there's not many people getting close to. So yeah,
As long as I have a hole in my ass, I imagine I will not.
I couldn't even dream of doing that at the minute. I like to stay strong, but that's a fucking hard one.
But just even 20 reps on some compound move like that, even just actually moving your whole, systemically that much, you've got to have a fucking gas tank for that.
Yeah, because it's pushing the air out your lungs. When you start getting to failure, you just can't physically get air in. You start folding over. It's horrible.
And Dan can't.
Making me excited.
Dan can't walk up the fucking stairs without folding.
Certainly can't do paddle boarding.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious watching your Instagram.
I blame the paddleboard. It was badly calibrated.
So Dan got married last week, and this week on his honeymoon, he gracefully attempted to do some paddleboarding. Didn't end that well, to be fair. Surprisingly,
like a proper cop.
What happened?
Well, it just nothing. I fell down, but really slowly as well. So like I should have just bailed, made it look cool, maybe done a swan dive, but instead I kind of looked like I was having a seizure, and then just kind of slid into the. And that was. And Alice, supportive, the supportive wife that I've just, managed to get, obviously filmed the whole thing to share with everyone.
Brilliant.
So
she's a keeper. I need to see that footage.
Oh, it's there. I'll send.
Okay, so there are a couple of questions on the post. One of which was from our good friend Rob Cannon.
How's Rob doing? I ain't seen him in a while.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast, and I think
he's still massive.
Yeah, he started his prep now, so be interested to see how he looks on his pro show. But he's asked. So his first comment was, "Yes, you've got my request on." So that was his first comment. So Dean, of all your UKBFF British wins, which was your best look, and was it hard for you to be in so many overalls but never get that overall win? I mean, that second question was a bit silly, Rob, I won't lie, but the first one. Solid question. Which one was your favourite look?
Out of all the Britishes, I came in too flat and too small to make the weight. So I should have gone to a heavyweight to get my best look. But I'd say the one, I'm useless with fucking years. It might have been 2010 or 2011, whenever it was, when Sean Tavernier won the light heavies. I came second to him. Side Fan was in the class, he came 5th. So he might have even been 2009. Is that 2009 or 2011? Because I'm sure I won 2010. But that particular year was probably when I nailed my condition the very best. I was. I'm not a fan of diuretics, and probably the last 5 years I didn't touch them. Just manipulate my water naturally. But that particular year, we tried some diazyme. Potassium sparing one is probably the safest one if you're going to use any. And I'd maybe have half the night before and half on the morning of the show. But we tried something a little different that year. and we did it over like 5 days or something. Simon Fan was helping me a bit, and he was just basically experimenting on me. if someone's going to die, you fucking die. So it wasn't a lot, but we did it like 5 days, probably like a quarter or a half a tablet each day. And I was getting drier and drier. But towards the end, I was so fucking ill. I couldn't physically eat food. I was throwing up. It was bad. It was not fucking good, and I don't recommend anybody to try it. But the show day, I was flat as fuck because I just couldn't physically eat, and the water was coming out too fast. I couldn't get it back in. But the show day, I was like granity dry. It was just crazy, disgusting condition, but too flat. So if I could have had that kind of look with some kind of fullness, I mean, I got some pictures somewhere, and my face is so gaunt, and my hands and my feet, it looks like I've been dead for 6 weeks. If the one
making me want to compete.
That,
this is making me feel juicy.
Yeah,
I love it. Like that's the thing. You want to step on stage, and people be like, "How the fuck did that happen?
Yeah,
how is this fucker alive?"
Well,
you don't see it that much now. But
No.
like I remember then, I remember seeing you as well, just being like, "How?
Yeah.
How the fuck is he even standing there?"
Yeah, the great graininess of your physique, Dean, is that there's just nobody doing that anymore. There's nobody bringing that.
I fucking loved it.
I was taught from the beginning, like you got to be there. I remember that the guy who got me into it, I killed myself for a diet. There wasn't an ounce of fat on my body, so I fought. And he looked at me, he's like, "No, you're too fat. You're fat as a pig." I'm like, "What?" Is like I could see some fat on your ass. Your hamstrings are soft. You're fat as a pig. I'm like, fucking hell, back on the treadmill it is. I was dying. So that's what I was taught from day one. And obviously, if you're going to win shows at a good level, unless you're an absolute fucking genetic freak, I believe you need to be in that kind of condition. If you can, I have massive respect for anybody, no matter how big or small they are, if they nail that condition. Because you've got to go to some kind of fucking dark death place to get there. It's easy until like 6 weeks out. It's easy to get in condition. It's easy to get lean. But to get that shredded fucking rock hard look and try and hold some fullness is incredibly difficult to peak at.
And that's where it becomes purely mental.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes purely mental. And you're right. You are there day or night staring at the fucking wall. Sleep's not fucking happening. You're staring at the wall. The only thing you're thinking is, when's my next carbless food that's not going to even feel like I've eaten anything? Like, and you're just staring at the fucking...
and be happy.
Yeah, and trying to be happy about it.
Yeah. I mean, I found that easy compared to the off-season, to be honest. I had a fucked up childhood. Alcoholic father, used to smash the place up, rape my mum, all kinds of it. Was a horrible place. So I don't regret anything in life. And when I made peace with that later on, I realized that I'm so grateful for that childhood because it gave me such mental strength. After going through some horrible shit, anything's easy. You become grateful for a lot. So I believe without that trauma in my childhood, there's no possible way I could have achieved half of what I did. Because this is another amazing thing. I got my genetics tested not so long back. So that was easy for you. You got genetics, you got this, blah, blah, blah. So fuck it. Got my genetics tested. Went to Transform Now. Dr. Khan does the bloods. Fucking amazing guy. We started doing the genetics. So it comes back. I thought, okay, let's murmur truth now. I looked for it. I got loads of fucking shit, loads of average and some good. So it comes up how you utilize, how you grow muscle, basically. And it was average to poor. So for me to grow muscle is slightly harder than an average person. So it goes to show that I had to put the fucking hard work in. There was lots of things like I'm genetically, I'm prone to diabetes, I'm prone to obesity, and I'm far from both. So anybody that uses these bullshit excuses, you're just a lazy fucking cunt. If you know that you're prone to diabetes, don't fucking eat sugar. It's that simple, isn't it? Because you're more susceptible, so you need to be more careful. So because I don't have that lifestyle, I'm far from that. But if I did have that lifestyle, I'd most probably be a beast with diabetes. My genetics is there to tell me that. I believe in epigenetics. Your body always adapts to its environment. So what was fascinating to me is the good parts of my genetics was the strength to weight ratio was through the roof. My muscle endurance was really high. The way I utilized protein was high. So my genetics told me that I should stay well away from fucking bodybuilding and done powerlifting or martial arts. I would have been awesome at any one of those two. So, but it's fascinating to know that after all these years, and it was kind of a relief when people just say, well, you're just genetically gifted, you got there. I can't do that. You can because you got genetics. You're 4 times British champion. Hard work always beats genetics until that motherfucker with genetics puts the hard work in. You got Ronnie Coleman and it's game over.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Most of the people that are blessed with the extreme genetics first get so much of the first bit and free that they somehow, a lot of them don't actually learn to put in the work as well, because they got the first bit, they got, to a high standard without really trying, and then they're unable to synthesize it.
Yeah, they always it's easy for them. They always look good. They never look great because they don't go that extra mile because they never had to. It's too easy for them.
Yeah,
the few that do, that's something special born right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. I think the whole situation with people making excuses for themselves is getting worse because bodybuilding is becoming more accessible to everyone. Every man and his dog wants to compete now. And people are not allowed to be as ruthless as they were, like you said, with the feedback and stuff. Like Dan coaches me, but if Dan used his technique of coaching me with some of the millennials these days, he'd probably end up fucking in front of a judge somewhere, So it's mental. Like, but the soft approach, the everyone like an inclusion thing, the giving medals for participating thing. It's just like, come on, like bodybuilding is not about that, but that's what it's becoming. And then the guys who are putting the graft in are getting discredited because it'll be a case of, oh, it's all right for him, he's got genetics, oh, he's taking loads of gear, or it's just people just can't understand that there's levels to it. And if you haven't, if you're not there, you're not on that level. It's as simple as that. It's not, don't make excuses for yourself. You're just not on that level. You're not working hard enough. People can never look inward and make that assessment,
People don't want to take responsibility for their own actions. And that's the most adult grown-up thing a person can do, and not many people do it. They always want to blame something else, and they've got a fucking list of excuses of why it didn't happen for them. It's fucking bullshit. It's like, I'm poor and I got no money. That guy over there is a millionaire. What's the fucking difference? Well, it was raining today. Well, it fucking rained on him today as well. Do you know what I mean? You're both born in the same situation. He learned different skill sets and he got off his fucking ass and he did them and did them and did them and did them until he become them. You sat on your ass and moaned about why that's not happening. You didn't do fuck all about it. You only got yourself to blame. If you don't like where your life is, then you can only blame yourself because your daily actions are creating your future. So stop blaming the world, stop blaming everybody else, get up your fucking ass and go and do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the keeping it in the day thing is very important. I don't know what the fuck's happening out here. Is really important. You set the big plan and you break it up. And sometimes the big plan is too daunting and you do have, and maybe it does rain. You just look after a day that soon turns into a week, a month, a year. You look after each day. The goals will fucking come.
Yeah, that's the perfect way of putting it, mate. Because too many people, they over-trump themselves. They're focusing on the big picture, the end goal. And it's too much for anyone to handle. Your brain just can't cope with that much. So like you say, break it down into little tiny steps, one day at a time. It's easy to achieve that day. So then the next day, achieve that day and that day. Before you know it, you're halfway fucking through it.
Because the time's coming anyway. The time's going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with the genetics thing as well, obviously, like, everyone is different. But I think quite a lot of the things that I have in coaching as well is someone will be like, well, this person's doing this. and it's probably one of my pet hates because no one's genetically the same unless you have a twin. So and so doesn't do any cardio and they're ripped. These people eat bagels. These people do this, and it's like, that's not you. You're literally wasting time thinking about something that's so fucking irrelevant to your situation when you could be out finding out what it is that does work for you. But they're so scrolling through social media, thinking about this person and that person and that person, rather than going and exploring them.
Yeah.
And obviously being a coach and that is about exploring them, which doesn't happen instantaneously. But the last thing you want to do is go and look at someone else and try and apply that to you. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all did it, right? We all had Flex magazine. We looked at Ronnie Coleman and we're like, we're definitely going to do the Ronnie Coleman training because I'm exactly the same. I look the same. I'm the same as Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
So
I remember watching his video and he's dieting for the Olympia or something. And he goes and he's played a big fucking pile of, is it cornbread or something, chicken, and he gets this fucking barbecue sauce all over it. And then people are like, well, Ronnie Coleman does that. Look at him. I'm going to do that. I look like him.
Cheese on grits.
Yeah. He's 300 fucking pound of muscle. He's burnt more calories lifting that fork up than what in that fucking meal.
In that same one, he's like eating out, isn't it? And then his diet is that he scrapes a bit of the sauce off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You remember that bit? He just scrapes a bit. He's like, diet food. Done.
Yeah, he's out in public eating in a restaurant and all he does is just like scrape
just move the sauce. Diet.
Yeah. And I say to people, like, how can you expect to do what he's doing? You're like fucking a big, decent sized bodybuilder who's 200 pounds of muscle. Ronnie Coleman's literally fucking 300 pounds of fucking muscle on stage. You know what I mean? There's a huge difference how many calories his body needs in a day. And he's a genetically gifted freak. And he's fucking in the gym for fucking 4 or 5 hours, lifting 800 pounds every day. It's a little bit different. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So rather than drag this on for too long, Fudine, I know you're a busy man. What we tend to do at the end of the podcast is to do like a 5 top tips thing. So all of our guests, they don't necessarily need to be any good, but it can be bodybuilding or it can be just life related. Any tips for our people, our viewers watching that may be prevalent in your mind? It can be quite difficult putting somebody on the spot. We couldn't even do it ourselves. So
loads of them have been shit as well. So don't worry.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of fun.
You want 5? Okay. Well, the biggest one, I think the most important one, if you want a happy life, just to change your life, is get the fuck out of the fitness industry and don't ever compete. It will fuck your life. In a way, I'm not saying don't compete. It's great for the sport. Lots of people do compete, but know your genetics, know where you're at, know what your body's capable of. Because I see people put their life into. I mean, they train like fucking shit. They don't eat properly, but their whole life's revolved around the gym because I'm going to be Mr. Olympia. And you look at this streak of fucking piss who hasn't got a genetic in their body, and they're convinced that they're the next thing, or this fucking, I'm going to get 2 million followers on Instagram and make shit tons of money. Look at how many other fucking people are doing it. What makes you stand out? It really fucking winds me up to see. So like, okay, they brought in the fitness categories, the bikini. It's so much easier for a normal person to be able to achieve that level. And you're looking at the best guys in the world. They're not massive, but these are still genetic freaks. So when you're looking at like, I want to be Mr. Olympia, there's a Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, people like this, Jay Cutler. These people are like, there's a 0.0000001% of these kind of people that can make it to that level. Unless you're one of them and you're like fucking 20 stone when you're 20 years old, just don't even think about it. You don't have the genetics to be there, to be Mr. Olympia. So go one step at a time. These other, on the other hand, these people, okay, to be the best fitness guy in the world or whatever, it's a lot easier. But how many fitness people are trying to do that compared to how many bodybuilders are trying to be Mr. Olympia? Outweighs it tenfold.
So the stats remain the same.
Exactly. There's 1,000 bodybuilders and you got a 1 in 1,000 chance, but you don't have the genetics. compared to a 1 in a fucking billion chance. You might as well just fucking play the lottery every day. You got a better chance of winning it. Unless you're an absolute genetic freak and you have the perfect shapes. Like, know what your body's at, what it's capable of. Start training, enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy training in the first place, don't fucking do it.
It's like Dan says, is that if you've got to ask, then you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do say it often. If you're wondering if you're a genetic freak, you're not.
Yeah. So I got this. I do a lot of questions and answers. I like to try and help people if I can, because I hate how the fitness industry is these days. I hate all the bullshit prep coaches out there that are fucking ripping people off hundreds of pounds for a generic piece of fucking paper, and they give the same one out to everyone. To me, that's theft. You're just stealing money from people's pockets and lying to them. And that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is some of these so-called prep coaches are giving people huge drug stacks and stuff, which they don't even know what they are, let alone what they do. And they're fucking people's health up. There was a story not so long back, a couple of years ago. Some prep coach prepped this junior, I think he's 21 years old, stuck him on a shitload of diuretics towards the end. I think the guy was, I think he won the PCA Juniors 21, and he proposed to his girlfriend on stage. Amazing. Next day, dropped down fucking dead because he died of dehydration from the amount of diuretics his prep coach put him on. What happened to the prep coach? Don't even know who he is. Disappeared, gone. How is this how is this legal? How is this being allowed? You don't need any actual fucking qualifications. No, everyone's just all of a sudden a prep coach and a PT and this bullshit. So anybody can actually do it and just take money off people.
It does need to be regulated.
It really does, but there's no laws. It's such a massive grey area. It's hard to regulate it. So this is why I started my company, Legion. Me and my missus, we done it so cheap. It's £10 a month to make it affordable for everybody, which is probably bad because people think, oh, it's only £10, it's shit. But on there, I put there's over 100 videos and articles that I've created myself. I've got people on there like fucking Jay Cutler, I've got Lee Priest, I've got Phil Heath, Sean Roden, Chris Aceto, some amazing names giving their advice, their opinions in interviews. I've got a couple of actual doctors on there talking about gear, what's safe, what's not, blah, blah, blah. And then on top of all that, you get me as a fucking PT prep coach if you choose to, included in £10 fucking a month. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I can't stop these people from ripping people off and giving out the wrong advice, but I can do my best that possibly can to give out the right advice, and at least try and, if people are going to do it, tell them the healthiest ways they can do it and maintain some kind of fucking health. But there's so much wrongful information out there, and people are so lazy. They want the magic pill and they want everything and they want it now. So it's all about how much fucking drugs I can smash just to get as big as I possibly can. And they have no idea of the effects it's doing to their body short term, let alone long term.
I mean, I think the advice on drugs, the one that I take is always, if anyone asks me, should I take drugs, is no.
Same. I try to put people off. I mean, joking aside, I say that my best advice is don't compete. Anyone comes to me compete, and I say, why do you want to do it? Because don't do it unless you're really serious and you thought about it. You just want to stand up there to make the numbers up and say, oh, I did it, I'm a bodybuilder. Fuck off. You're lowering the sport. Yeah. You're making the sport look shit.
Yeah. And there are lots of those. I mean, I've met quite a few this year, and not only that, they stay on cycle all year. Like
those are usually the people doing the craziest cycles, you know, and they're trying to outweigh not a very intelligent way of training or just not very good training, trying to outweigh it with drug protocols. If someone says to me, should I do drugs? The answer is always no. And if their honest answer is, I'm going to do them anyway, then I'll be like, here's a better way of doing them. Because I'm meeting bus drivers at the gym doing 600 milligrams of Tren.
It's crazy.
Literally bus drivers.
I know, like young kids in their teens, like 16, 17-year-old taking gear and they're starting on Tren. some
Yeah,
fucking
look at
nappy.
the-
Well, imagine being a bus driver on train, though. Imagine
Yeah, I
how
know.
angry you'd be. Yeah, like, how would you keep your job
Do you reckon that's why they drive off when they're arriving?
when you're chasing after him? He's like, "Fuck you."
And as some of the kids these days, I think the driver needs to be on trend to put them in their fucking place.
Who is that? Yeah,
Yeah, I think with the drugs thing, it's mad, and the amount I get questions from people that are young. You know, should I do? And I was like, you've already got them. They're in your nutsack right now, and they're firing hard. So if you can't grow now, it's not happening for you anyway. So, you know,
Especially when they're that young, yeah. I mean,
you know,
me and Lee get on so well because we're very similar in what we've used, what we take, and we always get the same fucking bullshit. Like, people just don't believe me when I tell them what I have taken, what I do take. They're like, nah, fuck off. You take more than that. Why?
you've got
Because I
nothing. You've
look
got no
better.
reason to lie. It's like when Dorian tells of his old cycles. There's no gain. There's no gain to this. He's not selling any of it. It's all in the past. You know, it's like this. And now a lot of stuff, Generation Iron, which seems to be the spreader of like fucking just shit.
doom.
They're like, oh, you know, Chris Bumstead cycle, you know, really low as a tagline. You click it in, and all he said is it's low. Now, who are we comparing this shit to? What the fuck is low? What's low nowadays?
They're just cunts. They're just fucking jump on the bandwagon and slate anybody to get views, and anything that people will click on, they're all over it, innit?
Yeah, clickbait.
Yeah,
Dickheads.
like bodybuilder deaths. They were like, oh, we got a lot of clicks from that. Our data tells us. So now we're going to just anyone who's died who's a bodybuilder. Even there was one they reported on, bodybuilder dies at show. He wasn't even doing the show. He just and people do die in real life, like outside of bodybuilding. It does happen. I know that, like, Generation I will tell you that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
If you're a bodybuilder and you took one shot of testosterone in your life, you died of steroid abuse.
Yeah, it's like Corona. We won't go down that one.
Oh, don't start me off now. I got banned from Instagram for quite a while because I shared some stories about that. I don't want to get banned again.
Yes, one of the buzzwords anyway. So let's avoid that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we got like 4 in there, so we'll just do one more.
Okay. I forgot we was even doing that. Life lessons. Yeah. Okay. So here's a good one. So let's start with a little story. There's a kid at school, and the teacher turns around to the kid and he says, "Okay, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And he says, "When I grow up, miss, I want to be happy." And the teacher says, "Oh, I don't think you quite understand the question." And the little kid says, "No, miss, I don't think you quite understand life." And when you think about that, everything we're taught is to go out, get a job, to fit in society and do all this bullshit. What is school for? What do they teach you? Because what do we do everything for? We're trying to get a good job, to get money, to get things, to get comfortable. The end game is to be happy. And when you start chasing materialistic shit, you're never happy because there's always the next thing. So why is learn to be fucking happy in the first place? Happiness doesn't fall in your lap. Happiness, you have to learn how to do it and practice it every fucking day. It's about the way you see things. It's either fuck's sake, I've already got any left, or oh yes, I've still got some left. How can you look at the same thing and two different people look at the same thing and see something completely different, and one be angry and one be happy? It's all down to perception, isn't it? How you see things in life. So I think, especially in the bodybuilding world, there's so many people who are fucking mental. And when they chuck a load of drugs into that mix, they don't know how to, they just can't control their emotional state. And the man that can control his emotions becomes the most successful one. Because when you're in an emotional state, you do stupid fucking shit. Like, you have a missus and you have an argument and she knows how to press all your buttons, and because you're so emotional, you end up smashing your fucking house up or something. That's a dumbass, stupid thing to do. Now you got a broken hand and you got to fucking fork out thousands of pounds to fix your house. So if you could just control your emotions in the first fucking place, these things wouldn't happen, would they? You'd have a lot more successful life and you'd lead to happiness. I think the key for happiness is, one, to have gratitude. You wake up first thing in the morning and you just peacefully meditate and think about all the things you're grateful for, everything you have in your life. And if you find that hard, then start looking at people with really shitty fucking lives, people who have been born deformed, people who are blind, people that live in countries that they get no fucking food or even clean water. There's always somebody a lot worse off than you are. So there's a lot to be fucking grateful for. If you wake up in the morning above ground, that's something to be grateful for, because you're alive. And I think in the Western world, everybody focuses on what they want and don't have. And that's when they start to get down or feel depressed. So focusing on gratitude will fix that problem. That's number one. The second thing you need...
the worst thing that you could do when you first wake up is scroll through Instagram.
Yeah, reaching for your phone straight away and reading.
Because that's going to instantly remind you of people that have more, which is going to turn everything upside down.
100%.
Like you said, do what you said. Align yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And then I think the second thing you need is progression. A lot of people will do this in the gym. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're progressing in some way, you're moving forward, you feel happy in that moment. So you go to the gym and you do a PB, and then a few weeks later you do another PB. You're fucking ecstatic. Yes, I'm getting stronger. I feel good. You're dieting, you start seeing some abs pop out and some veins you've never seen before. You feel good in that moment. So always have goals and always keep focusing and moving forward. And if it's not happening in one thing, make it happen in another. Constantly learn new shit every single day. I have a rule now that I have to be better every single day than I was yesterday. So I listen to 2-3 hours every single day of either lectures or podcasts, interesting shit that I learned something. So I wake up the next day and I've retained a little more information than I had. So I'm better than I was yesterday in any aspect. As long as you're moving forward, you're progressing, and you have gratitude, there is the key to happiness. So what I'm getting at is there's how to go and learn happiness. If you practice that every fucking day, you'll have a happy life.
Yep. Yeah. And I think there's so many of us, me included, have spent years and years of their lives going, well, when I get to this, I'll be happy. When I get to that, and then you're just forever chasing the fucking dragon. And you've just got to learn to be happy in the here and the now, rather than looking forward and looking for whatever it is the next thing is. Because it's just human nature, I think. And I think, we're all bodybuilders, and it's difficult because it's extremes, and when you're an extreme-minded person, it's difficult to try and have that ability to step back and appreciate who you are, where you are, what you're doing. But I think it's vitally important. And like the whole sort of pandemic, and it is a pandemic of people suffering with mental health, that is a massive contributing factor to that.
Well, with the training, specifically with bodybuilding, one thing I think that lots of people miss, that I always don't miss, is that being able to do that is a fucking luxury. It's a luxury. Think how much of your life you need aligned to actually even be able to just have a gym membership and train with your able body. Or even someone who trains with a partially able body, they're in the gym. Those are the people usually whining the least. But it's a luxury to do what we do, to go and be able to have the time to go to the gym, to fuel something that you enjoy, to go and do it. It's a privilege, and people aren't treating it like that. It's like it's a chore. And if it's a chore, go and find the thing that isn't a chore.
We're spoiled brats this age, and the younger generations are getting worse and worse. They're being born into it. They have everything. They have all these luxuries given to them. They never had a fucking hard day in their life. And that's why now they're just relying upon drugs instead of the training fucking hard. That's why everyone's got a tripod in the fucking camera, wanting to make thousands of pounds on YouTube, because they don't want to fucking work. They don't want to put the hard work in. They want to bum around in the gym and have everything fucking given to them every day.
Or start podcasts.
Yeah. Damn it.
It's a great way, isn't it? But I'm not saying to anybody, don't ever do this. But you start off doing it as a little sideline, isn't it? You fucking work your ass off. You try and make some money and earn a living and do well in life. And if you have a passion or something you believe in, you start on the sideline and you start building that up and build that up until you built it up so much that you can fuck off your shitty day job or whatever it is you don't enjoy, and then start putting everything into your passion and make a business of it. That takes a long time, and it takes fucking hard work.
That's quite ironic, because Dan's literally just done that. Literally this week.
I did, well, last week, I did 10, well, as a lecturer for 10 years. And so I'm sort of transitioning into the fitness industry. I'm sure it won't be the end of teaching for me, because I love teaching. I do love it, and there's lots of things that I love about it. I am teaching in a different way. Now I'm sure I'll return again. But I think as well, like, I've always been someone that will go and work at Asda if I need to. And I think so many people think that they're above going and working as a bin man or in Asda or serving people, working in the service industry. I've done all of that, and I would do it now. If I needed food on the table, I would go and work in Asda. I don't think of myself as beyond that, and I think a lot of people think that they're better than people that are doing that. And no, the people that are there grafting in Asda with their sideline, like, that's the real people.
Them are the ones that will eventually succeed, because I see as you cannot fail in life if you never give up. Every time you fall, you get back up. You've learned something, so you're a little bit better. You're moving forward, isn't it? Eventually, you failed that many things that you know every fucking mistake not to make. So you can't fail. You're always moving forward. The people that just give up and don't bother trying, how can you ever move forward? You tried one fucking thing. It didn't work, so I give up. It's bullshit. Now, I know you as a lecturer, Dan. What did you use to teach?
Music technology, sound science, so like acoustics was my speciality, and studio recording, that sort of thing. So, I did it for 10 years. I did one of my degrees at London College of Music, and I did a master's in education. I like it. I like the psychology behind it.
You should be on here then.
I am a shit keyboard player. I'm a bass player, so I don't understand the way that the keyboard is in C. It fucks me.
Did you just call my grand piano the keyboard?
Well, the keyboard as a collection of instruments.
Yes.
As a category, as we categorize them. Strings make more sense. They have shapes.
Yeah.
For me,
I'm a wall behind this. I've got electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and electric cello, and I can't play fucking any of them. Be my guest if you want to come play them.
Yeah, I think everything's cool, like on the piano in C. I don't. The shift is too much. Shapes on a string, they make sense. Boxes and shapes, and some funk, and slapping the bass.
Slap upon the bass.
Slap upon the bass.
Do you enjoy teaching that, or did you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, like, I've seen a bit of a demise in engagement from young people. I've seen the raising of the school leaving age or training go from 16 to 18, which I think was a shit idea. I think some people need to fuck off and go to work. And I certainly did. I went to special school and stuff like that. And I needed to 16. I left at 14. I needed to go and work and go. And then I went back to education because it wasn't the right time for me. I needed to go out and graft and be young and do shit like that. And I always had a job from the moment I could get a paper round, and I needed to go and do that. I think that was, as a battle for unemployment, was a shit move by the education system. I thought it was a figure swindling heap of shit. And now through FE, we have some really great students, but a lot of students that are actually just wasting time until they can leave. And it changed the style that I was used to teaching. It changed the demographic of learners. and it became slightly less useful, because as a teacher you want to get something back from your learners. Look what I've given you.
It's
And
hard
then-
to teach somebody who doesn't want to learn, isn't it? They don't want to be there. It's hard. I mean, I don't know if you said anything like me. When I was at school, I didn't want to learn. I didn't like school at all. And a lot of it was crap teachers, and then in bad environments. As I was getting older, I got in wrong crowds. But I got out when I was young. I left home when I was young. I got into the world, and I needed to fucking work. Even every shit job you could think of, I've done it. And as I got older, I wanted to learn. And now I fucking learn every single day, and I love it. I'm addicted to it.
It's the application of it, isn't it? I think when you're young, you don't see that correlation between the application of knowledge to what you're passionate about. So when you finally find something that you're passionate about, and you can, so like I find it with textbook stuff on things that I'm not particularly interested in, just doesn't sink. Anything, as soon as I'm passionate about something, I pick it up like nothing. But that's the educational system is absolutely fucked, because we're still using textbook method for all and every single student, when practical application is actually probably a larger crowd than what they're actually thinking it is.
Well, and also everyone's absorption rate, everyone's attainment rate is different. You know, my attainment rate when I was young was 0. I was medicated as a child. And I was not built for that system at that point in my life. And now, like Dean said, he's addicted. I read up on stuff like that I'm not really that passionate about, like you said, because knowledge is contextualized. Like, it's not linear. It doesn't have to be directly related to your subject. Most things, the 6 degrees of separation is true of knowledge. You know, most things have a place in all parts of life. Do you know what I mean? Like, psychology and training, and you know, obviously you have the basic physiology, and but most things will tie in. And you, like you said, you like to go, and if you learn something, maybe it's not directly related, but maybe you haven't just learned the middle bit that ties them together. Yeah,
or implement it into something that you do enjoy. Like, exactly that. I think the schools teach all the wrong fucking shit, and if the kids are not interested, they don't learn. They don't give a fuck.
The teachers are paid fuck all. Like, they're worked into the ground. All the students treat them like cunts. The parents now come in and treat the teachers like cunts as well, because you told little Jimmy to fuck off. Like, which obviously you don't, but do you know what I mean? Like, little Jimmy's a cunt. Like, it's it used to be your parents would at least come in. My dad used to go in and be like, you need to hit him. He doesn't understand what you're saying. Like, he is a little cunt, you know, and I was a little cunt. But, you know, parents are now coming in trying to like fight teachers who are paid like 25 grand. You know, and everyone goes, well, they get summer holidays. No, that's the students get the holidays. The parents don't, the teachers don't get the holidays. That's them preparing for another onslaught of your cunts to come and ruin their year.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, and then you do that for a few years, and then you have the teachers that started off with this great passion for teaching, and they're just slowly ground down.
It. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
There's this amazing, oh my God. Do you know Wayne Dyer? He passed away now a few years back. He's a very spiritual, philosophical talker. He wrote a lot of books. He did a lot of talks. And if I ever in any shitty state, if I listen to him 5 minutes, I'm just calm, blissful, feel fucking great. But you just reminded me of the story that he told. I forgot times to just tell this quick story before we all fuck off. Absolutely amazing. I think it's called the Timmy story. Basically, there's this little kid. He's at school. His name's Timmy, and Timmy. So the teacher in the class, Timmy's a little bastard. He's always fucking around. He don't listen. He's falling asleep in class. Sometimes he doesn't turn up. So the teacher comes to the end of the year and he has to mark all the grades, and she has great fucking pleasure in giving this little bastard a D or an E or an F, because he's a little shit. Anyway, so she sends him off, gives him the F, and she reads the reports from the teacher from the year before and the one from the year before that, and so on. And she goes right back and it says, Timmy was the best student in the class. He's so delightful to teach him. He's such a polite, lovely lad, and got amazing grades. Next year, Timmy he's a lovely boy, but he seems to be very troubled, and there's some bad situations going on at home, and he's not always present in class. Next one comes along. Timmy seems to be very he's not listening, he's not responding in class, and this may be due to unfortunate circumstances that his mother passed away and died of cancer, and he's just not with it. And then the next one, Timmy's being very destructive in class, and he's just not with it because his head's all over the place. So this teacher, she's like, she feels really bad because she treats him like shit because he's a little bastard. So she starts going out of her way, making a little bit more effort with Timmy, having him behind and talking to him and being more of a counsellor and actually caring about Timmy after seeing all this. And Timmy starts to respond really well, and he starts picking up in class and turning up and showing more of an interest, and his grades start to pick up. And towards the end of the year, then they break up. All the students can bring a little present in or something like that for the teacher. Timmy brings this little bottle of perfume for the teacher it's opened and it's all tacky and there's only a quarter of a bottle left. And he says that we don't have any money or nothing, but this used to be my mum's. So all the kids in the class laugh at him and start trying to bully him. The teacher stops him right there and says that's a wonderful gift to me. I'll treasure that. That's the nicest gift I've ever had. Sends him off and he's really happy. At the end of the year, Timmy's grades have gone up and they've exploded, and he's got A's because of all this hard work that she's put into him. Anyway, Timmy then goes on to college and he gets some more grades, and he never forgets his teacher. Every year he writes a letter to her and says, like, you was my best teacher and you helped me turn my life. And you always be the best teacher. The next year, every single year, he wrote this letter, and his teacher received this and it gave her great joy. Then he went on to university, and the next letter she had a few more letters, and it was Dr. Timmy. He actually become a doctor. And then a few more years passed by and she never heard from Timmy again. And she thought that was that and he's moved on with his life. Then surprisingly, the following year, she got another letter from Timmy. And it was saying he's getting married. And he wanted to know if the teacher would come and give him away because he doesn't have any parents and nobody. And she was the one that was the most influential in his life. So, of course, she agreed to that, and she went to his wedding, and she gave him away. It's amazing, and she made sure she wore the same perfume to remind him of his mom. And then at the end of the wedding, he said, I have to thank you so much. You changed my whole life. I got an amazing job. I got a wife, and we got a kid on the way, and I have to thank you. The teacher turned around and said, no, Timmy, I have to thank you. Because I wasn't a teacher. I was a teacher, but I didn't know how to teach until you showed me how to teach kids and care about my job again. And the moral of the whole story is how you can easily just see people and put them down and not have a clue, not give a shit about them because you don't know the circumstances or what they're going on in life until you really look past it. And usually when people are angry and are horrible, that they're shitty towards you because they're angry, because they're hurting, and they're hurting because they feel a sense of loss. And it's always the same case. If you look past the anger, they're hurt. So what they're doing is really a cry for help, isn't it? If you can see that, you can actually break them down, see what's going on past that, and actually help those people and turn it around in life. I think that story is an amazing story. A lot of people need to really just open their eyes up to see some of the shitty people in the world and see why are they doing what they're doing, and not what they're doing, but why are they doing it.
Yeah, I think you should probably tell stories for a living, Dean. You had me like hook, line, and sinker in that.
Yeah.
Then
that was a Wayne Dyer story. I can't take any credit for that.
I actually did have a teacher that from my school, even though I left at 14, who was sound, and I was much less of a cunt. My grades never increased, and actually we took my GCSE together because I wasn't allowed anywhere near any other kids. So we did it together. We both failed. And I invited him to my 30th birthday, and he came along, and we had a good beer, and he told that story at my 30th birthday. So it's true. It is true. You know, it is true. You do remember the ones and stuff like that. And being a real teacher actually is rarely about the subject.
Yeah.
You know, it is that pastoral bit. And that the annoying thing about being a teacher is that that's the bit that they don't pay you for.
Yeah.
So they pay you for the lessons and stuff like that. And the bit that's really important is where the funding is removed the fastest, you know, and it gets...
Again, it's exactly the same in PT and in personal training and being
Absolutely.
a prep coach, isn't it? The fucking training and the nutrition is half the battle. I think to be a proper prep coach, you've got to be a counsellor, you've got to be there for them. Yeah. I had this one woman, she was so fucking mental in the head. She had about 15 different people in her head. But she was so mental that she fucking trained and pushed past harder than anybody ever could. And half of our sessions, I had to sit down and talk to her for 30, 40 minutes as a counselling session to get her into a state where she can actually go in and smash it. Because she was fucked up. She'd have been all sorts. She'd been raped and abused from a child all her life. You couldn't imagine some of the shit that had happened to this woman. Looking past all that and breaking it all down, she was an unbelievably amazing person. She came to me at 56 years old, never lifted weights in her life, fat. 1 year later, we had her on stage. She competed and she looked phenomenal.
Amazing.
1 year, 57 years old, she got on stage.
Amazing. Yeah, but you are right. It is half the battle. Rarely is it about the subject matter. And it's funny because you asked me what I teach, and yeah, it is almost irrelevant. Actually, when it comes down to it. Good. Well, look, what a finish.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Dean. I think I've enjoyed every minute of this podcast by myself. So I'm hoping everyone watching it will as well. Yeah, you've kept us on our toes, and you've given us some really nice stories and really, you know, insightful sort of opinions and stuff. Honestly, pal, thank you. Appreciate it.
I've loved it. Very different from our usual ramblings. We've appreciated it.
I can do the rambles too. I'm sure, like most people would have, if they got this far, they'd probably be asleep right now.
Yeah. Well, we won't put them further into any more sleep, but maybe we'll do a part 2. So it seems like we still got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
And we'll get you back on if you're up for it one day, and we'll do another session on this. I mean, we've done 1 hour and 45 already, and yeah, we could keep going. So let's not do that now. But I just want to thank you for coming on, bud, taking your time. I know you're a busy man, so yeah, really appreciate it.
It's been a whirlwind. Thanks, Dean. From a big fan, big pal.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. And you know what amazes me when quite a few people they say to me, "Oh, I'm a fan of yours," and they look up to me, and I'm looking up to them, and there's this huge fucking guy, and you're the same. You're a fucking monster these days, and it's really humbling and lovely to hear. Like,
I was reading your Beef magazine columns for years.
Yep.
Oh God, yeah. I need to get more of them.
Yeah,
but I really appreciate you guys having me on the show and taking time out to have me. So any other time, I'm grateful to be on these shows. I love doing them. So if we can do anything in the future, anytime we want.
Awesome.
All right, let's do it. Thanks very much, Dean. Big love.
Thank you, gents.